Hey there everybody, hope everybody's well and hope everybody's been able to persevere and keep their chins up through these lockdowns and this sort of crazy old time that we're in at the moment with the pandemic. So I thought I'd do a video on Jello, and because it affects us all pretty much who fly, we try and get some video shots. And even though I'm not using a HD camera here, I hope I'm going to be able to illustrate that even the FPV camera has the Jello effect come through on a CMOS camera. So as I go out here and I start getting a little bit of height, you can see quite clearly that we got some Jello going on. And it is annoying because I know if there was a HD camera on there, that would make my HD video just useless to me, because I look at the Jello more than I look at anything else, and it is just really annoying. So what can we do about Jello? Well, firstly, we can make sure with our quadcopters that we have our propellers balanced. Now with the Hubsan, because I've been looking back at some of my old videos with the Hubsan, even though I loved flying the Hubsan around, I did notice that in all the videos there was Jello. All the videos was Jello, and as the props got older, got worn a bit, the Jello would be increased more. Now, what can we do about the Jello? Well, like I said, we can balance our props. Now with the props on a Hubsan, that's probably not as easy because they're the screw-on type props, self-tighteners, and trying to set that up in a balancing situation isn't as easy as it would be if you use just standard aftermarket props. But there are a few things that we can do about Jello. We can, or let's just establish what Jello is first. When you've got your CMOS camera and you've got a CCD camera, they have two different types of shuttering techniques. Now the CMOS camera will have a rolling shutter technique, which means it starts from the top and works its way down, and if you imagine the screen is sliced into X amount of horizontal slices, it will take one shutter, I'm trying to think of the word for it, but it will take one frame and it will take that one slice, next frame, the next slice down, next frame, the next slice down, next frame, the next slice down, and this is how you can then end up having this rolling effect. Now with the CMOS camera, if it's a still image, great, because you do get a better quality of image through them. But if you're moving, like if you're flying with a quadcopter or an airplane, that's when you're going to get to see this effect more. So what can we do about it? Well, we can certainly balance the props. That's going to help, because any vibration that's going through the system isn't going to help with your videography anyway. You can stick an ND filter on, a neutral density filter, and we're going to look at that in a minute in another clip of a video. You can also slow down, so you can slow your flying down, and you can also slow down the ISO, so you can slow down the speed of the shutters. And what that will do is introduce a little bit of a blur, but it helps mask the Jello, so that can come in quite handy. There are post-production solutions, but to be honest with you, I would try personally, and this is what I'm going to be doing, is I would try personally to get rid of as much vibration out of your craft as much as you possibly can, and start using an ND filter. And that's where this next clip is going to come in now, where I put an ND filter on the same craft, and we're going to take a look at it from there. Okay, so the same craft, same place, same day. Now this has got the ND filter on, and I think the image seems a little bit darker, but then as it is a filter, it has a tint to it, it's going to be a little bit darker. So let's just get a little bit of altitude. And as you can probably notice straight away, I mean this was taken before the other videos. So this is like the reverse way around. The filter was on first, then I took the filter off. But if you have a look now, you can see that even though, if you look carefully enough, there is still a little bit of Jello. A lot of it's been reduced by the ND filter. Now obviously you're going to do a little bit of work on this to try and reduce that even more, because there's no point in putting a HD camera on there, especially if I don't have a filter or anything for it, because I will get Jello with it. But I'm hoping that you can see that just by putting an ND filter, this is an ND8, that's on there. Actually comes with the camera, but I got a little Cadex Ratel, 1200 TV lines. That's what I like about it. It's a CMOS camera though, so normally I've been flying around with a Swift, a Runcam Swift, and that's a CCD. And I'll put a little bit of a video on of that in a minute when we've seen the difference on this with the Jello, and then you get to see the difference between a CCD camera, and the difference there is it's the different shutter type, where the rolling shutter is with the CMOS camera, and the CCD camera has what they call a global shutter. So it tries to take an entire frame, you know, what you can see, it tries to take that every time, and so you don't get that split in your picture, and it's taking taking a frame as it's working its way down. Now you can see like there's maybe a little tiny bit of a smudge going on here, and I should probably take it up a little bit higher, so I might just skip forward a little bit, so we're up a little bit higher. I didn't start off thinking that I was going to be making a video about Jello. It was just a case of going out. I hadn't been out for a while, and just getting out there. I didn't want to, I was going against a little bit about getting myself licensed. That's what I'm going to call it. But I am now, so I've got my tag on there, so if it comes down and does any sort of damage. But look, you can see, look, the Jello is vastly reduced, and that's just by putting the ND filter on. So you can see what it was like before. Quite a bit of Jello, not terribly bad, because it should be, I'm using dowel props, the 6-inch dowel prop still, and it was a pretty fresh prop, and so I wouldn't expect it to be too messed up. Give it a few more landings, and yeah, because sometimes it doesn't go horizontal when it lands. A lot of the time it's on a vertical and it's pulling through the grass a bit. But definitely you can see a difference when it comes to the Jello. Okay, so let me stick on a little bit of Swift camera action, and you get to see the difference again with that compared to the Jello from the non-ND CMOS camera. Okay, so this is the CCD. Now this, like I said, this does a global shutter, so it's basically trying to take a full frame every time, and so what you're not going to see is that that rolling effect. So just by having that different camera, by using a CCD, you can eliminate the rolling effect, the jitter, the Jello, if you like, and that's what I'm hoping you're going to notice in this. Now, even though these cameras are great for not having the Jello, this is 600 TV lines. It's not as good as the other little camera, which is 1200 TV lines. I'm not sure how, if it works like radio wave propagation. I just don't know. I don't know if it works that you have to square it or something to get double the resolution, but regardless, It's not as good as resolution. I hope you'll be able to see that in the image, and in a very short while I'll put the three up against each other. Maybe you can tell me which one you think is which and stick it in the comments. And if you've got any other ideas, you know, for helping get rid of the Jello effect in the CMOS video, please put them down in the comments, because I'd love to hear what you got. But this is using the CCD, and as you can see, you know, you can't really see any Jello effect there. And of course, yeah, that's, you know, it's all part of the fun of playing around with a wing. These are absolutely fantastic to play around with. You know, guys, I don't know, like some of you guys I used to talk to with the Hobsons and stuff, I don't know how you're doing. Hopefully you'll leave a comment, say hi, because I want to say hi to everybody. But absolutely, having a wing it just feels like a lot more freedom. In actual fact, I'll tell you the difference between how people interact with me, between the quad and a wing. So with the aeroplanes, I get a lot of old boys come up and talk to me about aeroplanes, and they tell me about, you know, they're in the RAF, and they tell me about their experience with model aircraft and bits and pieces. With the drone, I had, well, two what they call Karens these days. One had a go at me from the other side of a field fence, and the other one walked past me saying about I thought there were laws against those things, and as she was walking away. But when it comes to the wing, the only comment I've had over all the time I've been flying it now is, "Oh, that was you flying that thing." Because I walked up behind them as I was going back to my vehicle, and the people with the dogs were in front of me, and they sort of like crossed my path as I was going to go past them. They didn't realise I was behind them. I said sorry, and then they noticed the wing, and it was the chap who said, "Oh, it was you flying that thing." And the lady was like, she stopped and she smiled, and I thought she was going to get into a bit of a conversation, but they sort of headed off together anyway. And what went through my head was, it's brilliant. They don't even know what it is. No one can have a go at me about flying a drone if they don't know what it is. So that's one of the benefits of flying a wing, I think. But yeah, no Jello, no from whatever angle you look at it from. Look, no Jello. So I'm going to just stick them on side by side now, just for a minute, and maybe you can tell me which one you think is the ND filter, the CCD, or the no filter at all. Let me just stick them on side by side. Okay guys, so here's the three of them running together, and get myself going a little bit. The three of them running together. Now of course you could use a gimbal if your quad, you know, supports that, but if you've just got like a little micro mini quad, like my little 6-inch frame, or you're using your Hobson, maybe not as easy. So I'm more talking to you guys. And of course, if you can set your frames per second to 60 frames a second, that's going to help as well. Obviously there is more to consider with these things, and there is more sort of like, you know, this is just like a pointer in the direction if you're getting problems with your Jello. Now as you can see, you've got your three there. So we've got one with the ND filter on, one's a CCD, and the other one doesn't have a filter. So if we went from left to right, we'd say 1, 2 and 3. Stick it down in the comments which one you think is which. And yeah, happy flying guys. I hope everyone's staying safe. I hope, you know, that my subscribers, everybody's okay, and for you guys that aren't subscribed, I hope you guys are okay. And all I can say is a funny time we're living in. Funny times. If you take a peek at the world news, and you see it's yeah, like I say, really funny times. So there we go. A little bit of a Jello overview on what we can do about it, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye for now.